My wife said the baby wasn't mine, and my best friend was behind it. I caught them in lies, secret meetings, betrayal. I had the DNA, the photos, proof. I exposed it at her birthday party. Everyone gasped, screamed, chaos everywhere. Her family yelled, she begged, but I stayed calm. I took back my home, my dignity, and won 50-50 custody of my son Leo. I lost a wife and a friend, but I found my son and my peace. My name is Daniel. Before all the drama, I was just a regular guy. I worked as a manager at a local hardware store. I liked my job. I liked the smell of wood and the sound of people working. I was the kind of guy who believed in the dream. Work hard. Buy a house with a small yard. Marry a beautiful woman. Grow old together. For 5 years I thought I had that. I was married to Emily. To me, Emily was perfect. She was kind, she was funny, and she had this laugh that could make me forget a bad day at work in 2 seconds. We lived in a nice suburb. We had neighbors who waved at us. We had a dog named Buster. Everything was exactly how it was supposed to be. I used to look at her across the dinner table and think, how did I get so lucky? I trusted her with my soul. I gave her my heart, my bank account, and my future. I never once, not even for a second, thought that the person sleeping next to me was keeping secrets that would eventually set my whole world on fire. It was October 14th. I remember the date because the leaves were just starting to turn orange. I came home from work and I noticed something was different. The house didn't smell like pine cleaner or dinner. It smelled like expensive candles. Emily was standing in the kitchen, wearing a dress I hadn't seen in months. She didn't say, hello. She didn't ask about my day. She just handed me a small, white box tied with a silk ribbon. My hands were shaking a little bit. I opened it and inside, tucked into some pink tissue paper, were 2 tiny knitted baby shoes. Pure white. And right next to them was a plastic stick with 2 blue lines. I can't even describe the feeling, guys. It was like a bolt of lightning hit me. I started crying. I'm a big guy, but I sobbed like a child. I picked Emily up and spun her around the kitchen. We were going to be parents. We had been trying for 2 years and finally it was happening. I felt like I was standing on top of a mountain. I spent the next 4 hours calling everyone. I called my mom. I called my dad. I called my best friend, Michael. I told the whole world, I'm going to be a father. I thought that was the beginning of my best chapter. I didn't know it was the beginning of the end. The first month was great. But by the time Emily was 3 months pregnant, the atmosphere in our house changed. It wasn't a sudden explosion. It was like a slow leak in a tire. First, the hugs stopped. Then the conversations got shorter. Emily used to be so talkative. Now she was like a statue. She would sit on the couch, staring at her phone for hours. If I walked into the room, she would tilt the screen away so I couldn't see it. I tried to be the good husband. I brought her flowers. I offered to rub her feet. I cooked her favorite meals. But every time I touched her, she would flinch. She would pull away like my skin was made of ice. Are you okay, honey? I would ask. I'm just tired, Daniel. Leave me alone, she'd say. But it wasn't just tiredness. I could see it in her eyes. There was a wall between us. A wall made of bricks I didn't put there. She started going to doctor's appointments, alone. She said she didn't want me to miss work. I thought she was being thoughtful. I didn't realize she was keeping me away from the truth. The house felt cold even with the heater on. I felt like a stranger in my own home. Then came the night the world stopped. It was a Tuesday. I had come home late after a long shift. Emily was in the kitchen and she looked angry. Not just annoyed, furious. I asked her if she had called the insurance company about the nursery furniture. She snapped. She started. Ted screaming about how I was controlling her. She said she was tired of me smothering her with questions about the baby. I was confused. I was hurt. I said, Emily, I'm just trying to be a dad. I'm excited about our baby. She stopped screaming. She got very quiet. She looked at me with a look I will never forget. It wasn't love. It was something else. She leaned in and whispered, You think you're so great, Daniel? But you're a fool. You really think you're the hero of this story? Honestly? The baby might not even be yours. So stop acting like you own me. The room went silent. The clock on the wall sounded like a hammer hitting an anvil. I felt the blood drain out of my face. I couldn't breathe. I asked her to repeat it. She just laughed, a mean, cold laugh, and walked upstairs, locking the bedroom door behind her. I spent that night on the kitchen floor, staring at the baby shoes I had put on the shelf. The next morning I thought she would apologize. I thought she would say she was just stressed and said something she didn't mean. But it was the opposite. By noon my phone started blowing up. It was Emily's sister, Sarah. She didn't ask how I was. She started yelling. How dare you stress Emily out? She's pregnant. If something happens to that baby, it's your fault. Then Emily's mother called. She told me I was a suspicious, hateful man. She said that even if Emily did see someone else, it was probably because I wasn't man enough for her. They were gaslighting me, guys. They were trying to make me feel like the villain for being hurt by her words. They told everyone in our social circle that I was abusive because I asked for a DNA test. Within 24 hours, people I had known for years stopped answering my texts. Emily's family had built a fortress around her, and they were shooting arrows at me from the walls. I was alone. I was humiliated. And I was starting to believe that maybe I was the crazy one. After that fight, I didn't recognize my life anymore. I felt like a ghost walking through a house I used to own. Emily stopped talking to me completely. She would walk past me in the hallway like I was a piece of furniture. No good morning, no, how was work, nothing. I spent my nights in the guest room staring at the ceiling. The silence was so loud it hurt my ears. I kept asking myself, how did we get here? We were the couple that everyone wanted to be. We were the ones who held hands at the grocery store. Now I was sleeping on a twin mattress while my wife, and the baby I thought was mine, were behind a locked door. I started to lose weight. I couldn't eat. Every time I smelled food I felt sick. I was living in a dark room even when the sun was shining outside. I knew I couldn't stay like this. I had to know if my life was a lie. I needed to talk to someone, so I called Michael. He was the best man at my wedding. He was the guy I called when my car broke down or when I was stressed. We met at a small diner on the edge of town. I told him everything. I told him what Emily said about the baby. I told him about the secret phone calls. I expected him to be angry for me. I expected him to say, "Man, let's go get the truth." But he didn't. Michael sat there, moving the ice around in his glass with a straw. He wouldn't look at me. His face was pale. "Maybe she's just scared, Dan," he said. His voice sounded thin like paper. "Women say crazy things when they're pregnant. Don't go looking for trouble, man. Just pay the bills and be a husband." I looked at his hands. They were shaking. Michael never shakes. He's the coolest guy I know. Why was he so nervous? Why was he defending her? A small seed of doubt was planted in my mind right then. It wasn't just Emily I was losing. I felt like the world was shifting under my feet. I started doing things I never thought I'd do. I became a spy. One Friday, I told Emily I had to work a double shift. I drove my truck around the corner, parked it behind a big oak tree, and waited. About an hour later, Emily came out. She was wearing a nice dress and perfume. I could smell it even from the driveway. She got in her car and drove away. I followed her, keeping 3 cars between us. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would break my ribs. She drove to a park 3 towns away, a place we never go. She parked near a bridge and waited. 5 minutes later, a man walked up. He was wearing a gray hoodie and sunglasses. He sat on the bench next to her. They didn't kiss, but they sat so close their shoulders were touching. She was crying and he was rubbing her back. He handed her a small envelope. She tucked it into her purse, leaned her head on his shoulder, and closed her eyes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run out there and rip that hoodie off his head. But I stayed in my car. I took a deep breath. I needed more than a hug on a bench. I needed proof. I got home before she did. I hid the box under the floorboards in the guest room. When Emily came home, she looked happy. She actually hummed a song while she brushed her teeth. It made me sick. The woman I loved was only happy when she was away from me. I waited until 3 a.m. I crept into the bathroom like a thief. I took her toothbrush. I took a strand of hair from her hairbrush. I had to be so quiet. If she woke up, the game was over. I put the samples into the small plastic bags. I wrote the names. I sealed the envelope. The next morning I mailed it. I paid for the fastest shipping they had. Now the clock was ticking. I just had to survive the wait. "I'm having a 30th birthday party," she said. She didn't ask me. She told me. "It's going to be huge. My whole family is coming. Michael is coming. Everyone from your work. I want a big celebration before the baby gets here." She smiled at me, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. She wanted a show. She wanted to stand in front of everyone and pretend we were the perfect couple. She wanted to force me to play the happy husband, while she hid her secrets. "That sounds great, honey," I said. I forced myself to smile back. "I'll help you plan it. I'll make sure it's a night that no one will ever forget." She didn't know that I had a gift coming in the mail. A gift that wasn't in a box. A gift that was going to destroy her perfect party and her perfect lies. The war had started, and I was ready to win. The next 7 days felt like 7 years. During the day, I was the good husband. I helped Emily pick out the decorations for the party. I carried heavy boxes of blue and gold balloons. I even helped her choose the catering menu. Every time I touched a party favor, I felt a spark of anger, but I kept my face calm. I was a professional actor now. I checked the mail every single afternoon. I would rush home from work, my heart thumping against my ribs, hoping to see that specific white envelope from the lab. I didn't want the results to be sent to my email. I wanted the physical paper. I wanted something I could hold in my hand. I wanted a weapon. Emily would ask me, "Daniel, why are you always at the mailbox?" I'd just shrug and say I was looking for a new tool I ordered. She didn't suspect a thing. She was too busy planning her perfect night to notice I was building a trap. On Thursday, 2 days before the party, it happened. I saw the mail truck pull away. I walked down the driveway, my legs feeling like lead. I opened the box and there it was. A plain white envelope. I didn't open it in the house. I drove my truck down to the end of the road, parked under a tree and sat there for 10 minutes just staring at it. My hands were sweating so much the paper started to get damp. I knew that once I opened this, there was no going back. My marriage would either be saved or it would be dead. I ripped it open. I skipped all the scientific words and went straight to the bottom. Probability of paternity, 99.9%. I wasn't happy. I wasn't relieved. I was furious. What? Because the test proved I was the father, which meant Emily had told me the baby wasn't mine just to hurt me. She had used our own child as a weapon to destroy me. And she wanted me to feel like a stranger to my own son. That's when the plan changed. It wasn't just about the DNA anymore. It was about exposing the woman she really was. If I just showed the DNA, she would say I was just stressed and made a mistake. I needed more. I went back to that park. I followed her one last time. This time I didn't stay in the car. I used a long-distance lens I borrowed from a coworker. I saw her meet the man in the hoodie again. They were at a small cafe. This time he took his hood off. It was him. It was Michael. My best friend. My brother. They were sitting there, laughing, looking at a sonogram picture. My sonogram picture. I saw him lean over and kiss her. Not a friendly kiss. A real kiss. I caught it all on camera. I had the DNA and I had the photos. I went to a local print shop and made giant copies of the photos. I put them in a large birthday card right behind the DNA results. I was ready. Saturday morning arrived. The house was a mess of activity. Caterers were running around. Emily's sister, Sarah, was there barking orders at everyone. She looked at me and said, "Daniel, try not to look so depressed. Try to be a man for once and make her happy." I just nodded. "Don't worry, Sarah," I said. "I've got a surprise for her that will make everyone's jaw drop." Sarah smirked. She thought I bought her a diamond necklace or a new car. She had no idea the gift I had was going to end her sister's reputation forever. I spent the afternoon putting on my best suit. I looked in the mirror and didn't see the broken man from a month ago. I saw a man who was about to take his life back. By 7 p.m. the backyard was full. We had 60 people there. My parents were there. Emily's parents were there, acting like they owned the neighborhood. And then Michael walked in. He walked right up to me and gave me a bro hug. He looked me in the eye and said, "Hey man, I'm so happy for you guys. You're going to be a great dad." The nerve of this guy. I felt like punching him right there, but I waited. I smiled and said, "Thanks, Mike. You've been such a great friend through all of this. I'm glad you're here to see the big reveal." I felt the envelope in my jacket pocket. It felt like it was glowing. The stage was set. Everyone was laughing and drinking, having no idea that the perfect party was about to turn into a crime scene. Around 9 p.m. the cake was brought out. Everyone gathered around the patio. The string lights were twinkling and the air was cool. Emily stood in the center looking like a queen. She grabbed a glass of sparkling cider and tapped it with a spoon. "Everyone, thank you for coming," she shouted. 30 is a big year, but being a mom is even bigger. I want to thank my family for being my rock. She didn't mention me. Not once. People started whispering, looking at me. Then Emily's sister Sarah shouted, "Daniel, aren't you going to say anything to your wife?" I felt 60 pairs of eyes turned toward me. My heart was racing, but my hands were dead still. I walked to the front of the group and took the microphone. "I actually have a lot to say," I said. My voice was calm, scary calm. "I want to talk about family," I started. "I want to talk about the perfect life we've been showing everyone." I saw Emily's smile start to fade. I ignored her. "You guys know Emily and I are expecting a baby," I told the crowd. My parents were beaming in the front row. But a few weeks ago, Emily told me something. She told me the baby wasn't mine. She told me I was a fool. A huge gasp went through the crowd. My mother's hand went to her mouth. Emily's sister Sarah stepped forward. Daniel, stop this. You're ruining her night with your lies. I looked Sarah right in the eyes. I'm not lying, Sarah. And tonight, we're all going to find out the truth together. I reached into my suit jacket and pulled out the large birthday card. I got you a gift, Emily, I said. I didn't want you to have any more doubts. I didn't want the shadows in our house anymore. I handed it to her. She didn't want to take it, but with 60 people watching, she had to. She opened the card. I watched her eyes move across the paper. She saw the DNA results first. She saw the 99.9%. She realized that the lie she used to hurt me, the lie that I wasn't the father, was officially dead. She looked up, trying to find a way to spin it. Daniel, I was just stressed, I didn't mean it. She started to stammer. But I wasn't done. Turn the page, Emily, I said. Look at the photos. She turned the page and her face went from pale to ghostly white. I had printed the photos big. Photos of her at the park. Photos of her kissing him. One of the guests near the front looked over her shoulder and gasped. Is that Michael? The guest asked. The name Michael traveled through the crowd like a wildfire. Everyone turned to look for him. Michael was standing near the drink table trying to blend into the shadows. He looked like he wanted to melt into the ground. My father walked over to him, his face red with anger. Is this true? My father asked. Michael couldn't even look him in the eye. He just turned and started walking toward his car, but the crowd wouldn't let him through. The party was over. Now it was a war. Emily's mother started screaming at me, calling me a monster for doing this in public. I looked at her and said, I'm the monster? Your daughter cheated on me with my best friend and tried to steal my son's father away from him. And you defended her. Emily was on her knees on the patio, sobbing into her hands. The gold cake was sitting there, forgotten. People were leaving, but they weren't leaving quietly. They were talking, taking pictures of the drama, and shaking their heads. I looked at the woman I had loved for 5 years and realized I didn't feel sad. I felt free. I walked past her, went into the house, and grabbed the suitcase I had hidden in the closet. I didn't need the house. I didn't need the furniture. I just needed my dignity. After the party, I didn't stay to hear her excuses. I stayed at a hotel for 3 days. I turned off my phone. I just sat in the silence, processing the fact that my best friend and my wife had planned to replace me. When I finally went back to the house to get the rest of my things, it felt like a tomb. Emily had tried to call me 100 times. She left voicemails saying it was a mistake, and that she only did it because she felt lonely. But the photos didn't lie. The recording didn't lie. I saw a half-packed bag in the hallway that belonged to Michael. They had been so bold they were going to move him in the moment I was gone. I changed the locks that same afternoon. I wasn't going to let them play house in a home I paid for. The next few months were a nightmare of paperwork. Emily didn't go away quietly. Even though she was caught, she hired a lawyer to try and take 70% of my savings in the house. Her lawyer tried to say I was unstable because of the way I revealed the truth at the party. But I was ready. I had every text message, every photo, and the DNA results. My lawyer was a shark. We sat in a room with Emily and her sister. Sarah was still trying to glare at me, but the fire was gone. I told them, you can have the furniture. You can have the car. But I am the father of that boy and I will have 50-50 custody, or we can go to a judge and I'll show him the recordings of you planning to steal my child support money. They signed the papers in 10 minutes. 6 months later, I got a call from the hospital. I walked into that room and there he was. A tiny, perfect baby boy. I named him Leo. When I held him for the first time, all the anger toward Emily and Michael had just evaporated. It didn't matter anymore. This little human was 50% me. He had my nose and my ears. Emily sat in the hospital bed, looking at me with eyes full of regret. She whispered, I'm so sorry, Daniel. I didn't say, it's okay, because it wasn't. I just said, he's beautiful, and I walked him over to the window to show him the world. I knew right then that my life had a new purpose. For a long time I couldn't trust anyone. I stopped talking to our old group of friends because most of them knew and didn't tell me. Michael disappeared. He moved to another state when the story got out at his job. He lost everything too. But slowly the sun started coming out again. I spend every weekend with Leo. We go to the park, the same park where I once followed Emily, but now it's a place of joy. I'm teaching him how to throw a ball. I'm teaching him that being a man means being honest, even when it's hard. I eventually met someone new, a woman who understands that I come with a story. She doesn't mind. She likes that I'm a protector. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because some of you are sitting in your cars or in your rooms right now, feeling like your life is over. Listen to me, the truth will set you free, but first, it will make you miserable. Don't be afraid of the truth. If your gut is telling you something is wrong, listen to it. Don't let people gaslight you or tell you you're crazy. You deserve a life built on a solid foundation, not a pile of lies. I lost a wife and a best friend, but I found my son and I found myself. And honestly, that's a trade I'd make every single day. Before I go, I want to talk to you, the person watching this right now. Maybe you're sitting in your car or lying in bed, and something in your gut is telling you that things aren't right. Maybe you feel like you're going crazy because the person you love is making you doubt your own eyes. First, trust your gut. Your brain can be fooled by love, but your gut always knows the truth. If the energy in your house changes, if the phone is always face down, if the person who used to love you starts treating you like an enemy, don't ignore it. Second, don't act out of anger. If I had screamed at Emily the night she told me the baby wasn't mine, I wouldn't have had the photos, the DNA results, or the upper hand in court. Sometimes you have to stay quiet so you can hear the truth. Be like a lion, quiet, watching and waiting for the right moment. Third, remember that you are not the mistake. When someone cheats or lies, it reflects their character, not yours. Don't let their betrayal make you feel like you aren't enough. I thought I wasn't enough for Emily, but the truth was she wasn't enough for herself. And finally, there is life after the storm. The day of that party, I thought my life was over. But look at me now. I have my son Leo. I have my peace. And I have a story that might help one of you get through your darkest night. Thank you so much for watching this story to the end. If this story helped you, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel reach more people who need to hear this. Life is short. Don't spend it living a lie.